What's going on, guys? Boost Auto here, and in this video we're going to be showing you how to install Lumastep M2, our powered light up running boards, and Boost Auto powered running boards for 2021 and newer Ford F150 trucks. So let's get into it. Introducing Lumastep M2, the successor of Boost Auto's Lumastep M1, the one-of-a-kind light-up running board that took the industry by storm. Lumastep M2 features the same lighting technology with all the lighting functions you know, but with the upgrades that we'll know you'll love. Experience the comfort of our premium auto retract and auto deploy technology, featuring heavy-duty front motors on both sides that output over 2 times the torque of some of the other stuff out there. They are ready to go when you'll need them and tuck away when you're done. Boost Auto powered running boards feature all the awesome features from Lumastep M2 without the light up functionality for those who love to keep a low profile. These boards are just as rugged and powerful as Lumastep M2, with the benefit of being nearly invisible when not in use. This specific procedure applies to 2021 and newer Ford F150 Super Crew and Super Cab trucks. Now in this video, we'll be showing you how to install both Lumastep M2, our one-of-a-kind light-up running boards, as well as our Boost Auto Power boards. We'll be sure to break down the steps for both installations throughout the video. To get the latest in Fitment information, availability, and to purchase these boards, check out our website at boostauto.com.
Let's go over what's in your running board kit. In your running board box, you'll find the driver's side and passenger side running boards. Additionally, Lumastep M2 boxes will contain 2 lighting harnesses and its component for each board. And depending on what you option for and what your vehicle is equipped, you could either have the Hardwire adapter or your plug and play adapter if your vehicle is equipped with the adaptive LED headlights.
And finally, if you option for rock light functionality with our rock light harness, you'll receive that too. More on that later.
Up next, let's go over what comes in the bracket kit box.
Your bracket kit will contain the brackets for both driver and passenger side, as well as the hardware needed to install them.
Your harness for your power running boards, and the control unit for the power running board.
Finally, here are the tools you need for this install.
Now we can install our brackets. For the procedure, we'll be installing the brackets on our lift. However, everything can be done from the ground. We have 2 different mounting locations. The first mounting location being all the way in the front, while the second mounting location will be all the way in the rear. We're gonna start the installation on the passenger side, all the way at the front of the vehicle. Here's a view of the first mounting location right above the pinch weld on the other side of the vehicle. You can see we have studs sticking out. This is where we're gonna mount our first bracket. Again, we're on the passenger front, so make sure you're using the bracket labeled PF for passenger front. Take your bracket and line them up with the studs. Now you're gonna take your 13mm flat washer and your 13mm lock nut. Go ahead and tighten it down. However, do not tighten it down fully because we'll be doing further adjustments down the line.
Then repeat the same steps to the other 2 studs on the other side of the bracket.
Now with the front bracket mounted, we can head on over to the rear of the vehicle where we're gonna mount our rear bracket. Here's a look on the other side of the vehicle by the pinch weld. You'll see you'll have 3 studs sticking out of the body. And now we can mount our rear bracket. The bracket is labeled rear and they are not side dependent, so it doesn't matter which bracket you use. The bracket mounts similar to the front. Go ahead and line up the bracket with the studs sticking out of the body of the vehicle and take your flat washer and your lock nut. Tighten it down, however, remember, we will not fully tighten down till later on in the video.
Then repeat the same steps to the other 2 studs on the other side of the bracket.
On the driver's side, install your brackets in a similar fashion.
Now that the brackets are on, we'll continue routing our control unit harness. We'll install our boards near the end of the install.
With the truck back on the ground, we can now open the hood and disconnect the negative terminal at the battery. The battery is found on the passenger side over here. If you have an auxiliary battery, disconnect that at this time too.
Grab your control unit harness and we'll start with routing it.
We're gonna route our gray connector labeled passenger side motor down to the motor bracket itself. You'll take a straightened out metal piece and tape the gray connector labeled passenger side motor to the straightened out metal piece.
For those of you installing Lumastep M2 running boards, you'll take the lighting harness with the red power and ground terminals and route the 2 black connectors on the other end of the harness down to the running board as well. This will enable the lighting features if you option for our Lumastep M2 running boards.
We'll route the harness down back by the firewall, above the wheel well, all the way down to the running board bracket. For routing our harnesses, it's recommended with removing this trim clip back here at the wheel well, just to give you a little bit more access when installing your harnesses. Using the trim tool, go ahead and pry it out.
Route the harness or harnesses if you optioned for Lumastep M2 down to the running boards.
Once it pokes through, we can now pull it through. Untape your harness. Take the harness you just routed down with the gray connector and plug it into the harness at the motor of the bracket.
For those of you installing Lumastep M2, you'll additionally have your lighting harness. Take the two connectors on your brackets and plug it into the connectors that you just routed down.
Now zip tie your harness out of the way of any heat or moving components.
Reinstall the previously removed trim clip to the fender liner. Then we can repeat the same steps on the driver's side of the truck. Take your connector labeled driver's side motor and route it. And if you option for Lumastep M2, the two black wires on the remaining lighting harness down to the bracket. Back under the hood, we'll install our control unit on the passenger side.
Install it near the battery, out of the way of any heat or moving components. Plug it into your harness.
Next, if you option for Lumastep M2, please proceed with the next section. If you option for our Boost Auto power boards, please skip ahead until part 12, where we will go over routing the control unit harness into the cab of the truck.
Now to gain access to the back of the headlight, we'll head to peel back the fender liner. We'll start with removing this screw at the bottom of the fender liner at the front of the vehicle. Next, straight up, we'll remove this screw, and then we can remove this screw here. Now we can remove this trim clip at the front of the fender liner, twist it out, and once it's free, we can now release it. And then further up, we have another trim clip. And now we can peel back the fender liner to gain access. Route your black receiving connector down to your headlight.
Next, if you option for Lumastep M2, we'll take a look at the different styles of headlights this year range of F150s have. Your headlight will be configured in one of these three different variations, and so your wiring will also be different. We'll break them down one at a time for you. If you have halogen headlights, you'll have a 3-pin connector. On this vehicle, it's brown, but it might be a black connector on your vehicle. However, if you have LED headlights, your connectors will look different. Now, LED headlights come in two configurations. There's the fixed LED headlights and the adaptive LED headlights. You can see here, fixed LED headlights have 4 front-facing lights in a 2x2 configuration, whereas adaptive LED headlights will have 2 larger front-facing lights that are stacked. Please note, the plug-and-play adapter will only operate with adaptive LED headlights. If you did not option for our plug-and-play adapter, your kit will come with our Hardwire adapter instead. For plug-and-play adapter installation, this white wire with the butt connector is for rock light. Leave it as is if you option for rock light functionality. We'll come back to that later. Otherwise, tape the butt connector out of the way before proceeding. The headlight housing on this vehicle is the 16-pin connector. Disconnect the 16-pin connector from its housing like so. Once the 16-pin connector is removed from the housing, insert the plug-and-play adapter into the connector. Then attach the black receiving connector you just pulled down to the black 4-pin connector attached to your plug-and-play adapter. Once that's connected, install the other end of the plug-and-play adapter to the headlight housing. Pressing the red locking tab to secure the connector in place. On the driver's side, install the plug-and-play adapter in the same way. If you did not option for plug-and-play adapter, your kit will come with our Hardwire adapter. Here's the breakdown of that. The red and yellow wire with a quick disconnect is to tap to the turn signal wire on your headlight connector. The blue wire with a quick disconnect is for enabling running light if you option for it. If you did not option for running light, this wire will not be active. You can simply tape the disconnect out of the way. The white wire with the butt connector is for rock light if you option for it. If you did not option for rock light, this wire will not be active, so be sure to tape the butt connector out of the way. Simply tapping the wires on the headlight connector for optional applications will not enable these features. The only wires active on your Hardwire adapter will be the ones you option for when purchasing your running boards. If you option for our Hardwire adapter for your adaptive LED headlight configuration, follow these next steps. To To begin, disconnect the 16-pin connector from the headlight housing. Peel back some of the tape on the harness if you want some more room. Then start by tapping the wire at pin 2 for signal. Looking at the wire end of the connector with the connector tab pointing up, pin 2 is on the first row and the second slot from the left. Go ahead and tap here using the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Next, on your hardwire adapter, bring the red and yellow wire over and connect it to the T-tap here. If you option for running light, we'll tap to pin 9 next. With the connector tab pointing up, pin 9 is at the bottom left corner. Using the provided red T-tap, tap to the wire here and press until the T-tap clicks in place. Connect the blue wire from your hardwire adapter, then attach the black receiving connector you just fed down to the hardwire adapter. With that done, reconnect the headlight connector back to the headlight housing. Once completed, repeat the same steps on the driver's side of the vehicle. If your vehicle came equipped with fixed LED headlights, follow these next steps. Your fender liner is already partially peeled back, so you'll have plenty of room to access the connectors at your headlight. At the headlight housing, locate and disconnect this black 3-pin connector and this black 2-pin connector. Once the connectors are removed from the headlight housing, be sure to cut back some of the tape so you can tap further up on the wires. Start by tapping the wires at pin 3 for signal on the 3-pin connector. With the connector tab to the left, pin 3 is at the rightmost slot. Use the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Go ahead and take the red and yellow wire from your hardwire adapter and connect it to the T-tap here. Next, if you option for running light, we'll work on the black 2-pin connector. Start by tapping to pin 2 for running light. Pin 2 is located the farthest from the connector tab. Use the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Go ahead and take the blue wire from your hardwire adapter and connect it to the T-tap here. Next, we'll take the black connector on the hardwire adapter and connect it to the black receiving connector from the main harness. Once done, go ahead and install the connectors back to the headlight housing. Repeat the same steps on the driver's side of the vehicle. Next, let's look at how our hardwire adapter taps to the 3-pin halogen connector. Disconnect the 3-pin connector from the headlight housing. Looking at the wires, with the connector tab to the left, pin 3 is at the third slot from the left. Using the provided red T-tap, tap to pin 3 for signal. Make sure the T-tap clicks in place. Then connect the red and yellow wire from the hardwire adapter to this T-tap. If your running boards came equipped with running light, tap to pin 2 next, located in the second slot from the left again. Tap until the red T-tap clicks in place. Then connect the blue wire from your hardwire adapter to this T-tap. Next, we'll take the black connector on the hardwire adapter and connect it to the black receiving connector from the main harness. Once done, go ahead and reconnect the headlight connector. Repeat the same steps on the driver's side of the vehicle.
Take your white pass-through connector on your lighting harness and route it over to the passenger side. And now plug it in.
The rock light function overrides any existing function when activated and outputs a solid white light. This will remain on until you switch it off and cannot be overridden by functions such as turn signal or running light. If you did not option for rock light, you can skip to the next section. If you did option for rock light but did not purchase our rock light harness, you will simply need to run a 12-volt power feed to the white wire on the plug and play or hardwire adapter. If you have an existing rock light or auxiliary switch, you can use that, or any 12-volt trigger will do. If you did option for our rock light harness, follow these next steps. Your harness will have this power terminal, 2 long white wires that will go to the headlight and your switch. Starting on the driver's side, go ahead and grab one of the white wires and route it down towards the headlight connector.
Now route your other white wire over to the passenger side and route it down to your headlight.
Regardless of whether you have our plug and play adapter or the hardwire adapter, the white wire from rock light harness will connect to the white wire with the butt connector. You may want to have your headlight connector disconnected to have better access to your plug and play adapter or hardwire adapter. Connect the white wire from your rock light harness to the white wires on your adaptive.
And take your red ring terminal and set it next to the battery for now.
For both Lumastep M2 and Boost Auto-powered running board installations, we will now route our signal inputs inside the cabin of the vehicle. If you optioned for our Boost Auto Rock Light harness, you'll also route the wires connected to the Rock Light switch.
On the driver's side, we're gonna route those wires through the firewall using a straightened out metal piece through the grommet under here. The grommet's back by the firewall to the left of the brake pedal. Take your straightened out metal piece and route it through the grommet.
Now, back under the hood of the vehicle.
Once the straightened out metal piece pokes through the grommet, go ahead and pull it through. Again, don't pull it all the way through because we'll be taping our harness and pulling it back into the cabin. With it passed through, we can now take our signal input wires and tape it to the straightened out metal piece. Additionally, if you option for Rock Light, you'll tape these wires to the straightened out metal piece as well. Back inside the cabin, pull it through. Untape it.
Leave the Rock Light harness wires to the side for now. Let's connect our signal input wires at this time. Here's the grommet you just passed your wires through. This is the connector we're interested in, located in the front and above the grommet. Now, this module has two connectors. The one we're interested in is the lower black connector. Go ahead and disconnect that connector.
With the connector free, peel back some of the tape.
Over on the bench, let's take a look at the control unit taps we'll use to tap to the wires on the connector. The taps have a wide and narrow side. With the wider side of the control unit tap open, bring the wire over and press down on the tap firmly. Next, on the narrower side of the control unit tap, take your signal input and place it in the tap. Finally, press down firmly on the tap. Now, let's get back to the install. We'll start with tapping our signal high input at pin 6. With the connector tab on top, pin 6 is on the top row and the 6th slot from the left. Take the wider side of the control unit tap and tap to the wire. Press until it clicks in place. Then connect your signal input labeled high to the other end of the control unit tap. Press until it clicks in place. Next, we'll tap our signal low input at pin 7. With the connector tab on top, pin 7 is on the top row and the 7th slot from the left. Take the wider side of the control unit tap and tap to the wire. Then connect your signal input labeled low to the other end of the control unit tap. Press until it clicks in place.
With that now tap, plug it back in.
For Lumastep M2 installers, we'll pick back up on the Boost Auto Rock Light harness installation now. All we have left to do is find a suitable spot for your switch and drill a hole using a 13/16 drill bit. Run the wires through. The white wire will go to pin 1 and the red wire goes to pin 2.
Now back under hood at the battery, start with removing the battery cover. We'll be removing this nut here.
Install the battery positive ring terminal. For Lumastep M2 installers, go ahead and install the lighting harness, and if you option for a Rock Light harness, go ahead and install the red power wire from the harness here as well.
That installed, reinstall the once removed nut. And reinstall the battery cover. Now reinstall your negative terminal at your battery. Go ahead and tighten it down. That installed, we'll be grounding our battery negative to our control unit harness here. Remove this nut. Install the negative battery cable from your control unit harness.
For Lumastep M2 installers, you'll also install the ground wire from your lighting harness here too.
Reinstall the once removed nut.
If equipped, reconnect your auxiliary battery as well.
Now we could reinstall our fender liner. Go ahead and line it up to the correct position. Let's start with the trim clip at the top of the fender liner. At the front of the fender liner, we have a screw right here. And then just below that one, we have another screw. And then all the way at the bottom, at the fender liner, we have another screw. And finally, our final trim clip, which is at the front of the fender liner at the bottom. Now we'll continue with installing our running boards. As you can see in front of me, I have our Boost Auto power running boards and our Boost Auto Lumastep M2 light up running boards. We'll be installing our M2 light up running boards, however the steps are the same between power running boards and light up running boards. Start with flipping your board over. In this track right here, we'll be installing our carriage bolts. Take your carriage bolts and install them in the track. What you're gonna do is grab a bolt and drop it in the track right here at the end cap. You're gonna install them on the opposite end of where the Boost Auto nameplate is. Each board gets 4 per side. Slide it to the approximate location of the bracket.
Back on the passenger side, we will deploy our front bracket by opening either door on the passenger side.
And now we could deploy the rear manually.
If your kit included these spacer plates, line the holes up with the holes on the brackets like so. If not, please ignore. Once the holes on the spacers are aligned with the bracket, the rest of the steps are identical.
With the brackets deployed, we can now install our running board. Align the bolts and drop it in place. Remember, the Boost Auto nameplate will face towards the front of the vehicle. Align the bolts with the holes. Now install your 10mm nuts. Now you can tighten them, however, do not tighten it fully because we'll be doing further adjustments down the line. And now we can perform our alignment process. Do this by sliding the boards to the rear of the vehicle. At this time, shut the door so the running board retracts. We're still in the middle of our alignment procedure, so be sure to aid the board in as it retracts. With the board now retracted, we can adjust it to our desired position.
For Lumastep M2 installers, you'll also install your lighting extension harness to your lighting module located in the end cap of the running boards.
Now, if you have extra slack, you can install your harness guide into the channel of the running board to hide the extra slack. Do so by lining up the harness in it and install it into the running board channel.
The harness guides can be trimmed if you need a shorter length for your fitment.
Now pull back any slack on the extension harness, giving our running boards a sleek look. Now with everything in position, tighten down the bracket and the board.
Be sure to tighten down the board first, then the bracket.
Perform the same steps on the driver's side. Tie up any loose wires or slack out of the way from heat or moving components. Now with everything installed, let's go ahead and test to make sure it's operational.
Now, here's a quick overview of the cleaning procedure for your new running boards. On either side of the vehicle, simply open the door and allow the board to deploy. With the board now deployed, step on the running board and close the door. After a few seconds, the board will then try to retract. Thanks to our pinch sensing technology, the board will stay deployed for ease of cleaning. Simply take your foot off the boards and proceed to clean. If you optioned your running boards with step pads, we highly recommend our step pad cleaning solution to prolong the longevity of your step pads. Once done, you can open and close the boards to retract the running boards.
That wraps up this install for our Lumastep M2 light up running boards and our Boost Auto power running boards. If you guys like what you see, head on over to our website to get notified and to see more products just like this one for your truck or SUV. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the like button. That's all for now. We'll catch you in the next one.